My name is Ron Wilstein, and I'm a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties here in Park City, Utah. I'm sharing with you our November 2022 Park City Market Talk webinar. Our main topic today is how are buyers and sellers feeling about Park City's changing real estate market. It certainly is causing many of them to stop and reflect upon the last couple of years and how COVID has changed our market and adjustments that we're seeing right now. But before we do that, since we're right on the threshold of the ski resorts opening, let's talk about when their scheduled openings are. Park City Mountain Resort is scheduled to open Friday, November 18th, and Deer Valley is scheduled to open first Saturday in December 3rd. To get details about the resort's opening, snow conditions, any other facts, you can go to BuyParkCity.com or DeerValley.com. In fact, let's just take a moment and look at the Park City site. I'm here at ParkCityMountain.com, the homepage, and there's lots of good information to get here. What most people are curious about is when the resorts are going to open and how much snow is going to be there at that time. To get that information, you can go up to the mountain section here, go to Snow and Weather Report, and that will take you to this page. When you're on this page, you can scroll down a little bit, and right away you'll see a current snow report for the past week. And as we glance at this, you'll see that over the last 7 days, we've had 22 new inches of snowfall. We've got a base of 26 inches, and our current season, we've seen 49 inches, which is very positive. I saw on the news yesterday that they were reporting that currently our snowpack early in the season is 400% what the normal snowpack is at this time of year. And we're off to a good start. Hopefully it will hold firm. If you scroll down, you can see a forecast for the day or looking ahead. And whenever you see snowflakes, you want to see how much snow is going to fall. This is tomorrow. And we're, by the way, I'm recording this on November 8th. And so November 9th, we're expecting 6 to 10 inches during the day, another 2 to 4 at night. So we're in a nice weather pattern for the ski season to open up, which is great in light of the anticipated opening for Park City Mountain Friday, November 18th. And let's not forget about Woodward Park City, which is open year-round with activities both outside as well as inside. We're now looking at their website, and you can see there's lots of outdoor activities this time of year. And then you can also head indoors where there's lots of fun that goes on in this resort. So it's really tremendous. If you've not been there, definitely check it out on your next visit to Park City. For details on Woodward Park City, go to WoodwardParkCity.com. Let's begin by taking a look at what's been happening in the Park City real estate market over the past year. There's been 2,698 sales, and this is homes, condominiums, and vacant land combined. This is all real estate brokerages combined, and comparing with the previous year, that is down 11% or 345 sales. This graph here shows us three main categories of properties: homes, condominiums, and vacant land. And the red bars represent the last 12-month period, and the silver bar represents the year before. We're coming off of a very, very hot market, spurred a lot by COVID and people choosing alternative lifestyles and places to live, Park City being one of them, and the absorption of a lot of our inventory. So with our inventory going down, we had fewer sales. Homes were down by 33%, dropping from 841 to 561. We saw a 25% decrease of condominiums from 1,455 to 1,088, and then we saw a 32% decrease from 792 to 541 of vacant land. So we had less properties available to be purchased after having record numbers that doubled previous years. And eventually, if you don't have enough property to sell, you're going to have fewer sales. That is in part the current story. When we look at this graph, we're now looking at homes, and now I've broken it into three geographical areas: Park City, the city limits, Snyderville Basin just outside the city limits, and then the Jordanelle. And we see the breakdown specifically by those areas, with Park City dropping about 47% from 243 sales to 130, 43% drop in the Snyderville Basin from 502 sales to 284, and actually an increase, and this would be our single increase of all the number of sales that we look at here today, climbing 53% around the Jordanelle for homes from 96 to 147. Well, what was happening is there was less available in the Park City, there was less available in Snyderville Basin, and it just carried out to the next geographical area around the Jordanelle, and people grabbed homes. That's what you're seeing there. This graph is looking at condominiums, drops in each category, very similar, but the percentages are a little different. In the Park City limits, they dropped from 551 to 319. That's a 42% drop in number of sales year over year. 15% drop in the Snyderville Basin from 626 to 533, and about 15% drop around the Jordanelle to 236 from 278. Turning now to vacant land, and there is not a lot of vacant land in the Park City limits, as you can see, but it dropped 31% statistically from 44 the previous year to 35 this last year. We did, however, see a big statistical drop in the Snyderville Basin for vacant land, again, in part due to lack of inventory to be sold, from 298 to 113, and then the Jordanelle, 13% drop from 450 lot sales to 393. So when you combine all of that together, look at all these graphs here, you're going to see that overall the number of sales is dropping in most categories, all but one. And that is due to a lack of properties available to be purchased, and it is also the result of a slowdown in the market that we're going to be talking about on this webinar. Now, why are sales down in Park City? Let's talk about that here. Starting with limited inventory, if you can't sell what you don't have to sell, although I must share with you that our current inventory of properties for sale is larger than just 6 months ago, and there are different variables that we're going to talk about, which is why that has changed. Then buyers requiring financing are tending to tap their brakes due to the higher interest rates, and for some this is actually creating paralysis, that they're just reluctant to move forward. So it's not just inventory, now there's a reluctance either due to higher interest rates resulting in higher payments to paralysis for many people. The flip side of that coin is that cash buyers are not impacted. Typically they are buying higher priced properties, $2 million and up, and so they're really not impacted by interest rates, and they're in a price point that they can buy whatever they want to buy when they want to buy it. With that in mind, let's take a look at prices. Here we're looking at home medium sold prices, again broken into the Park City, Snyderville Basin, and Jordanelle areas, and you're seeing that the prices in the Park City limits are up by 33%, climbing from a little over 2.9 million to a million more, 3.950. So $1 million increase there in the Park City limits. In the Snyderville Basin, climbed by 17% year over year from $1,950,000 to $2,275,000. And then in the Jordanelle, we actually among homes saw it drop off 35% from $2,525,000 to $1,635,000. A lot of that had to do with the fact that the available property to be purchased in the Jordanelle during the last 12 months was a smaller, less expensive property. So it isn't an indication that values dropped as much as the price of properties that were available to be purchased were smaller or less expensive properties. Turning to condominiums, you're seeing the increases across the board. In the Park City limits, it rose by 20% from $1,250,000 to $1,500,000. In the Snyderville Basin, you see a significant 68% increase, with the median price previously being $628,500 to being well over $1 million this past year. Again, not so much that prices rose by 68%, but the available properties sold in the past year was higher priced properties, therefore a higher medium sold price. Jordanelle, 22% price increase, climbing from $789,450 to $964,425. So overall, you can see that prices are going up. Land, same thing here. You see a 50% increase in the Park City limits, climbing from $1,400,000 to $2.1 million. Snyderville Basin, a 23% increase, median price now $935,000. Previously it was $762,500, and a 34% increase in land prices in the Jordanelle area, climbing to $695,000 from $520,000. So when we take these graphs together, the arrow goes in the opposite direction. Previously, we saw the number of transactions dropping. Here, the prices are climbing. They rose in all categories except for one, and by double digits. And the highest increase was 68% over the previous year's prices. So how are people feeling about all this? Well, it depends who you are. Sellers feel one way, buyers feel another way. Sellers, well, they're happy that their property values have climbed significantly in recent years, quite happy. On the other hand, they are concerned that now their property values may be falling. Buyers, well, they're happy as property prices have come down into lower ranges, often making it more accessible to them. On the other hand, interest rates have climbed and in some cases may have priced them out of the market. So buyers and sellers have mixed feelings these days. And in markets like this, sales still do happen, but both parties have to adjust to the changing circumstances. One of the key elements that you have to take into account in Park City's market is that many of our transactions are all cash. In fact, 54% of all sales are cash transactions. The higher the property price, the more likely buyers will have cash for their purchases. On the other hand, the lower the property price, the more likely buyers will require financing for their purchases. So the question is, at what price should we expect buyers will need financing? It's difficult to know, but I would say that properties that are under $2 million are more likely to require financing than those above that. And it's fair to even say that properties priced between $2 million and $4 million may have some financing involved. Maybe not 80%, maybe 50%, but that's when you're likely to see it. When it's 50%, there's so much down payment that the buyer is bringing to the transaction. It doesn't significantly impact it other than whatever money you are borrowing. You're borrowing it at a higher interest rate these days. Properties that require financing to sell will likely need to lower their list prices to sell in this market. And sellers have been quite slow at doing that. But that is due to the higher interest rates. It's due to buyer reluctance and hesitation, which is a real thing that we're seeing. In months, 6 months to a year ago, buyers didn't hesitate. They rushed to buy properties, and they often overbidded even if they weren't in a multiple offer situation, because they knew if they waited, they would be in one. Things have changed a bit. It's not that we're not seeing multiple offers, but they're a lot less frequent. The inventory of properties for sale should increase, and prices will drop, and it will attract buyers back into this marketplace. Now, what about the higher priced properties? What's happening there? We know historically that those sellers tend to hold firm on their list prices. They're not as motivated to sell. They don't feel they have to sell, and they really don't in most instances. And so they're willing to wait and see what the market will bear. But they are usually willing to come down modestly once they enter into negotiations with the buyer. So that's what we're seeing in our current marketplace. You can figure out where you fit, whether you're a buyer or a seller, and what price range you're in. But it's always a good idea to consult a realtor and get advice as to what would be the best circumstances under which to buy and what strategies should you approach it in our changing market. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either Jeremy or myself. Email ron@thewilsteinteam.com or jeremy@thewilsteinteam.com. If you'd like a call back, include your phone number and a preferred time, and we'd be happy to give you a ring and talk to you about any questions or concerns you have, or just bat things around with you. I want to thank you for watching our webinar. We're here to assist you in any way that we can. I want to encourage you to bookmark our website, BuyParkCity.com, and check it out at any time. It's always going to have current information for you.